Hello, YouTube people. Welcome to video number 2 of living in a van. And today, for my second video, I'm gonna do an exhaustive, everything I know video about a bathroom in a van, off-grid or RV. So, especially if you live in an RV or a van, or you're thinking about it, this will probably be really interesting and helpful, I hope. If you don't, I can't imagine why you'd want to watch the whole thing unless you're just amazed at how somebody could live in a van and use the bathroom and take showers. So, if you haven't noticed already, I'm sitting here on my toilet. This is my $1,000 toilet. It also makes a chair outside the bathroom. Crazy. And I'm parked here at the park. See all these people recreating and then parking and having a nice time. Yes. So, I'm gonna start with the bathroom as it came when I bought the van, and what I've done to it and how I use it and everything I know about it. And I actually think it's kind of interesting, so I hope you do too. So, the reason I pulled the toilet out is because I want to show you what the bathroom looks like right here without anything in it. So this is more or less how it came to me. The difference is there was a toilet when I bought the van, and it's called a marine toilet. It's sat about this high like a normal toilet, but a marine toilet meaning that even though it used water, it didn't flush like a traditional type of a toilet. More like a toilet in an airplane, I guess, without the crazy noise. And if you kind of see this is originally where that marine toilet would dump, and it would go down into what they call a black water tank. So that is not here anymore. I never used the marine toilet. I already had plans to put in my composting toilet when I bought the van. So other than that, this is pretty much how it looked. Now, if you can ignore the hose and the wire, this hole is where a freshwater pipe came in for flushing the toilet. And other than that, it's pretty much the same. One thing I do want to do, now if you notice the shower here, it's the sink, and then once you get the water at the temperature you like, then it's kind of like a normal shower. It goes up to this. And I guess if you're shorter, you can just use it here. But I like to take it off like this and hold it and whatnot. It's got a great little valve, so you can start and stop the water once it's already set to the temperature you like. And that's great for boondocking, because even though I have 26 gallons of water, I don't want to refill my water tank every other day. So you kind of turn it on, wet yourself down, then turn the water off, soap up, wash, and then you can turn the water back on to rinse. And I've got it down to probably 2 to 3 gallons for a shower, and that's, you know, head to toe, shampoo, the works. I use, and I used this before I lived in a van, I use a special biodegradable soap called Dr. Bronner's. If you're a hippie or a nature kind of person, then you probably have already heard of it, but it's like this magic soap, they say, and you can use it for anything. And I have a big bottle of it in the basement of the van, but I just keep it in this little bottle here. And when I travel overseas, I use this too. And I use this soap for washing, for shampoo, for shaving. Traveling in a pinch, I've used it for toothpaste, believe it or not. I've used it for washing clothes. You can use it for anything, and it's biodegradable and earth-friendly. I do want to upgrade this shower faucet. You can see it's like this plastic kind of thing going on, and I'm still kind of looking around. I want to get one that is better for water consumption. Also, you can see there's this shower curtain, and it's on little built-in metal rack. And I kept the rack, but I replaced the shower curtain. Being that it's a 99, I imagine that most of the stuff in the van was original, and so kind of gross. I took the old one out, and this is just a standard curtain, shower curtain I bought at Walmart, but I specifically picked one that's vinyl. I think it's vinyl. I don't know. It's some sort of material that it says on the package that it's you're able to put it into a washing machine, which I do on a regular basis. So that's pretty cool, and it works great. I took off the little tracks, the little rollers that were here, because the original ones, every single eye of the curtain had an actual Phillips head screw, and it was a pain in the butt to take it out and wash it and put it back. So now I've got these ones with little hooks, and it's a lot easier. So that's the shower curtain. One of the first things I noticed is that the shower would leak out here onto the floor, and so it's not uncommon for people with Class Bs that are not full-timers, or even that are full-timers, to not shower in their van. A lot of times people will use the showers at campgrounds and gyms and things like that. So it's possible that people never did shower in this before I bought it, but I don't know if you can see that, but here there's this metal, and then the fiberglass comes up underneath that, and it was leaking into the aisleway in multiple places. So I ripped out the caulking and I recaulked it, and I used like an entire tube, because there's quite a gap under there all the way across, and so that fixed that leak. And it was going under the carpet, so every time I took a shower, I mean, there was like this huge wet spot in the carpet in the aisle for like the rest of the day pretty much. So I fixed that. Now I know it's kind of difficult for the to get the perspective of the depth and whatnot. So I'm 6'2", pushing 300 pounds. So I'll show you kind of how it works when I'm in here. So when I take a shower, I pull the toilet out as it's out right now, and that's just so that I can stand up. The composting toilet still does work in the bathroom. If you just leave it in all the time, you can still sit on it and take a shower like the bathroom was designed to do. But for more space, this is what I do. So size 14 feet, I can fit in here just fine. And even though there's this kind of step up that kind of comes above my ankle, it's still just as strong, so I can stand on it if I want to, or kind of lean a foot on there if I want to. So I still have the whole width of the bathroom, and if I'm kind of in here with my arms, it's just wide enough for my elbows to touch the sides, so it's still fine. And oh, hello there. And if I'm standing straight up, I mean straight up with good posture, there you go. Can you see that? So not too bad, not too bad in my opinion. So that's kind of how I do that. Now for the shower curtain, and I like to leave the door open in the aisleway, mostly because I'll have my towels here and I can just keep this open and I can reach for it. And I put all my toiletries in this, even though it's designed to have a hanger. I've screwed it in permanent. It's got the toiletries in there. So when I close the shower curtain like this, problem is the shower curtain wants to come in and steal my space, especially when it starts to get wet. So what I do is I put this little eye here, and I've got a couple bungees, and I'm sure there's a better way to do this. Let me know if you can think of a better way. And I put the bungee here, and I put another one kind of across to the other hinge of the door, and then that keeps my shower curtain at least from coming in. One of the guys I love to follow, Just Incredible, recently put a glass door on his bathroom, and it looks fantastic. It really does. I don't know if I'll do that, just because having the curtain kind of does give a little more space. You know, if you lean one way or knee goes one way, you're not banging into something that's a hard surface at the door. You just have curtain, so it gives big people like me a little bit more space. When I was shopping for a van, I specifically looked for one that I could shower in and do so comfortably. That was something that was important. In a perfect world, I would have at least tried one time to take a shower in a RV wet bath of this size to see if I would love it or I would hate it. Some people get used to it and don't mind it. Some people hate it and they maybe join a gym and, you know, use the showers there every day. So I took a gamble. Thankfully, it worked out. It took very little getting used to. Actually put it off for quite some time before I took the first shower while I was still living in the apartment, because I was nervous that I would hate it and it would be a waste of space in this van that I bought. But thankfully, it's been great. So that is the shower curtain. Couple other things here. The drain down here, it looks kind of gunky, but I think it's really important to get a little drain mesh thing and put it in here. You don't want to get any hair or objects in your drainage tanks or pipes, because it would be a nightmare. So that's something that I did. So for the light fixture itself is the same, but I did upgrade to an LED, and I don't know if that'll come out or not, but if you can see, those are a bunch of little individual LED lights. And all the stuff that I upgraded with, I'll put links in the description if I can find links to help you guys out. And then finally, if we look up here, this is the ventilation fan that's separate from the main ceiling fan here, that just for the bathroom. Now the one that came with mine was identical, but from '99, and it was kind of noisy and didn't work too well, so I eventually replaced it with the exact same make and model, and this one's much nicer. What you can do, it's got this little handle. I didn't figure this out for a long time, but it's got this handle, and if you pull down on it from outside the van, the lid closes airtight, watertight. So you have that option, or you can push it open and have fresh air, and then of course to turn on the fan. There you have it, and it sucks the air out, and it's really good to have that on at least for an hour or so after getting out of the shower, so it any remaining kind of moisture gets taken out that way, especially here in the south where it's so humid. Also, this little compartment here, it's a good idea. This is for toilet paper. You can see that there is none here, and the reason for that is that this is, for me at least, is not completely waterproof. A little water gets into this compartment. There's kind of this little compartment. It's supposed to just be for the toilet paper, but instead I keep a squeegee, and so after each shower I squeegee down the walls as best I can. I tried to fix this a few weeks ago by putting in this new, I guess you would call this weather stripping, but it still leaks a little bit, and a little bit of water, any bit of water, can kind of destroy a roll of toilet paper. So no big deal. But that's what that's for. I used to put some shampoo and not condiments, toiletries. I mean, I guess you could put some ketchup in there if that's your thing in the shower. But I used to put some toiletries in there, but those would fall over a lot when driving. It's another thing, when you live in a van, anything that can possibly fall over or fall out will. So you have to keep that in mind. So for now, it just holds a little squeegee thing, and that's kind of that. Next, I'll talk a little bit about removing the toilet that was here. It was really challenging because I'd never done it and didn't really know what to do. But you can sort of see these holes were actually not visible. There was what's called a flange, a toilet flange, and it's like this really thick, hard plastic kind of circle thing that goes around, and it had bolts in it, and it's the same that you'd find in a household toilet. That's what was connecting the marine toilet to this fiberglass. Now, taking out the marine toilet itself wasn't too bad. I think there was only about 4 screws. They were difficult to get to, but that wasn't too bad. Taking this flange out was a nightmare. I eventually had to take a hammer and a chisel and actually break the thing in half to finally get it out. And then later on I found out that I don't know if I could get enough torque with my hand. I tried at the time, but the type of flange I had, I could actually screw it this way, and I could have screwed it out possibly. But so that's how the marine toilet came out. Now, until literally 3 or 4 weeks ago, this hole was still there, and the best I could do to patch it was I had a little plastic drain plug that you would you'd put in a sink, and it didn't fit properly, and it leaked for every shower, but it was just something to kind of stuff in that hole. So I did recently just put this patch, and this is fiberglass. It's probably, I think, 4 or 5 sheets of fiberglass matting with epoxy resin, and I learned how to do that on YouTube. Yay, YouTube! So it wasn't too bad. I might do another video on that, but I sanded it down so you can barely feel anything. It's pretty smooth here. Now I was going to finish the glaze or the coating to match the rest of the tub, but I found that even though this is smooth to the touch, it has enough kind of friction on it that my composting toilet no longer slides around. The composting toilet comes with brackets, which I've never installed, but before doing this fiberglass patch, if I was driving and I hit a bump, and if the toilet was not very full and not very heavy, then there was times that it would slide and almost want to tip over, and you don't want a toilet to spill. Thankfully it never really spilled, but so I'm leaving it just like that. Smooth to the touch, but enough grab to keep the toilet from sliding around. Now, below this was the black water tank, and the black water tank in this RV was separate from all the other drains. So my 2 sinks and my shower drain go into a gray water tank, which I still have, but the black water tank was for just this hole, just the toilet that was here. And I think it was 9 gallons. Never used it, but I got the van from San Francisco from a dealer, and when I first got it, I took it to a local campground just to check it out, and I actually had to dump contents from the black water tank into the dump facility at the campground. So I've only ever in my life dumped a black water tank once, and it was someone else's poop that I never met. How do you like that? But it is gone. That black water tank was a nightmare to take out too. I'll go over to the other side of the bathroom here, the other side of the wall, and this area here did have a dinette. So this was a chair facing forward and then another chair facing backward. So I took the chair out, which I was going to do anyways, and let me get the light down here so we can see better. So the black water tank, if you can see, this is underneath the shower where that little step came up. And ignore this, this is just a bathroom scale I put under there. But this wood goes all the way underneath, and the black water tank was perfectly fit to go underneath where the hole was. And then the black water tank came all the way out to about right here, which was underneath this dinette chair. And so taking it out was really difficult because it was attached in so many places, but I did eventually get it out and have all this room now. One thing I still need to work on is where the black water tank would flush out to the hose outside the van, and it's right now I don't even have it permanently covered, but I just have this little Reflectix on it, and this is where the black water tank would flush out, and you can see there's still just a wide open hole that I need to fill. Just to let you know what this is, recently I moved this from outside where it was to inside, and this is the lever to open and close the gray water tank. And the reason I did that is because I'd love to have the ability to open and close my gray water tank, which is just my shower and sink water, without going outside. And so if I'm in a place where I can't dump the gray water, then I'll have the gray water tank closed, and then later on when I'm in a place that it's okay to do that, then from inside I can just pull that little lever and out goes the water. No big deal. So that has been awesome these last few weeks. But I do need to patch up that hole somehow. Might be wood, might be fiberglass. We shall see. Next, notice here this black PVC pipe that goes down through the floor. This goes to the gray water tank. So the black water tank was here, somewhat visible underneath the chair. The gray water tank is not visible. It's underneath, closer to the chassis of the van. Now originally this pipe was a straight pipe that went up here and all the way to the roof. Okay? And the purpose for this was for a ventilation hose. So every black water and gray water tank in an RV has to have a ventilation pipe where it can have air passing in both directions. And I had no idea about that originally, but I have sort of taken over that. And if you see this hose, this it's a 1.5 inch flexible hose. It's actually the same size you would have on a household vacuum cleaner. That goes to my current composting toilet, and then I have a little adapter, and I kind of took over, so now this goes straight up to the roof and out. That's a recent addition. What this white pipe is, I put in as well. This is for the bathroom sink. Okay, just the bathroom sink. And the reason I had to do this is because originally this pipe, I knew this pipe was for the black water ventilation. So gray water ventilation, black water ventilation that went up. And they kind of go together into one pipe and then go out. But for some crazy reason, the people who built this van put my bathroom sink drain into the black water tank. Makes no sense. It's not even on the diagram that I have in my owner's manual. So I was thinking, no problem to take the black water tank out, and I just cut this and left this wide open. And for 2 or 3 months, anytime that water went down the bathroom drain, it just came out right on the floor. And so what I did recently is I put this PVC in. So this, for my bathroom sink drain, now goes into the gray water tank. And my composting toilet pipe now goes to what was originally the vent pipe for the black water and gray water tanks, but is now specifically and only for my composting toilet ventilation. Okay? Now I had a problem when I did this, and that is, as soon as I closed my gray water tank and I took a shower or did anything that needed to drain water, instead of the water draining down into the gray water tank and holding there like it's supposed to, it would start to bubble up and back into the bottom of my shower through that drain. And so as it turns out, you need the ventilation pipe to allow air back into your holding tank. So when water drains into the holding tank, it has to displace air. The water is displacing air, so the air has to go out somehow. And by taking away the ventilation pipe, it had nowhere to go, and so the water draining would just back up into the lowest point in the plumbing system, which is the drain in my shower floor. And so to fix that, I crawled under the van, I went to the gray water tank, and I cut several small holes at the very top of the gray water tank. And so anytime my gray water tank is closed, since it doesn't have its own ventilation pipe, anytime the gray water tank's closed and water drains into it, the air that it displaces now has a way to exit, which are just the holes that I actually, they're not even holes, they're kind of long, skinny slits that I cut with a little jigsaw at the top of the gray water tank. So that fixed that problem. And most of the time it wouldn't have been an issue because I don't keep my gray water tank closed hardly ever. But when I need to close it, now I can do that without backing the water up. Alright, so that is that part. Next, I'll actually show you the composting toilet. So I did a good bit of research with the composting toilet. There's a few on the market. They're all expensive. They all have pros and cons. I ended up with this one, which is by Nature's Head. The main reason I went with it is because it's the smallest composting toilet that you can purchase, as far as what I know. There are people that have made their own, so the science of composting is not something that this company invented by any means, but unless you want to make your own composting toilet, which is fine, you can do it with a bucket or with wood or whatever you have. For a van where I don't have space, I don't want anything to spill, I want it to be very, very clean and sanitary, this is the route I went with, and I'm glad I did. So it looks and feels like a normal toilet. I don't know if you can tell, but it's actually quite tall. And the reason for that is it has to have space for the goodies to drop when you use the bathroom. So it's actually quite tall. That most people that have used this find that it's more comfortable to have a little step to rest your feet on. Otherwise you're like sitting on the toilet swinging your legs like a little kid. So the way it works is it's a regular toilet seat, but there's two holes, and that's where the liquids go. And when you go number 2, you open the little trap door, and that's where the solids go. And by never mixing liquids and solids, there's never a biohazard created. Urine is sterile, and the mixing of the liquids and solids is what creates the stink and the biohazard that we all know of from regular toilets and regular sewage. So by keeping those separate, from what I've heard, within 12 hours, the bad bacteria in the solids is dead, it's gone, within that short period of time. So liquids go into this container. I think it's a little over 2 gallons. And so when this fills up, you can just dump it into a regular toilet with a single flush, or if you're in a place that it's safe and it's legal, you can pour this on the ground. That's the only kind of gross part of the composting toilet at all, in my opinion, is that once every so often you have to take this out, put a little cap on it, carry it to a normal toilet or outside, and dump 2.5 gallons of urine, and you know, you smell it and whatnot. That's only kind of the only gross part, I guess. This part for the solids, it's coconut coir, and it comes in this big bundle that's super dry. It's like as hard as a rock almost. It's just very dehydrated, so you have to hydrate the coconut coir until it's kind of like potting soil. Not that moist, but kind of like potting soil. And this kind of, they call it an agitator. This turns, and when you turn this, there's just a piece of metal inside, kind of like a blender almost, and it just mixes it. So when you first start off, you fill the coconut coir to about 2 inches below the halfway point, and then it'll last, Nature's Head says 60 to 80 uses, but just depends on your own use. It'll go until it gets about 3/4 full, or until this is getting difficult to turn, and then you can dump it out, and it's completely safe at that point. You don't even need gloves, they're optional, because it's naturally composted, and so it's just like potting soil. It doesn't smell bad, it doesn't look bad, it's just like earthy, like soil. So that's been really cool. And on the sides here, this is just a little filter where air can go in. And on the other side, there's a, looks the same, there's also a little filter, but there's a tiny fan. It's a 12-volt fan. And if you buy this toilet with these screws, you can swap and put the fan on either side that you want to. And then 12 volts goes in here. You can't even hardly hear it. It's just a tiny little fan that spins. And this keeps air and moisture going out the ventilation pipe, which is how it composts. There have been people that have purchased these and didn't install the ventilation hose, because that's really the most difficult part of installing this toilet, is figuring out how to get the ventilation hose out of your van or your RV or your cabin or whatever it is. So people that haven't done that say, man, this thing's terrible, it stinks. And you have to have the ventilation hose. You have to have that moisture and everything going out. And it's actually great when people are going to the bathroom. There's not even an odor while they're going to the bathroom, like in a house where you have, you know, some people use the potpourri spray that I hate, or whatever it is. But because that little ventilation hose and fan is always on, there's no smell whatsoever, even when someone's going to the bathroom. So it makes it quite comfortable in the van, especially if you're with multiple people inside the van. You don't have to be embarrassed or whatnot. So that is kind of an overview of the composting toilet. Now originally, let's go back over to the bathroom here. Originally when I bought this, I tried to do as much research as I could, and I couldn't figure out how to get the hose outside of the van. So removing the toilet, I also removed the fresh water pipe, so I knew I had this hole, but I didn't know how to get this ventilation hose out. And so for 6, 7, 8 months, I had the hose going from the toilet just straight through the air without being attached to anything. And before upgrading, or not upgrading, just replacing this fan, I cut a hole here and I just kind of stuck the end of that hose right there. And it worked. There were times that you could smell a little bit if the ceiling fan here was on full blast and it was kind of overpowering things. But it was really a nuisance, because taking a shower, you had a hose hanging here. I went to Camping World, which is like the Walmart for RVs, and they had never heard of a composting toilet. They had 3 guys in here looking at it, trying to figure out what to do to install it, and this is the day that I actually ended up cutting a hole here and just doing it that way. But I even asked them, I said, what about just taking this fan out and using the existing hole in the ceiling? They said, no, we won't do that. We'll charge you $375 and we'll drill a new hole over here, and it'll be a 6-week waiting period. So I said adios, and I did it in 15 minutes myself, and that worked fine for 6 months. But now, like I showed you already, this ventilation hose, I used the existing hole from where the fresh water was coming in, and then I routed that to the existing PVC vent pipe that was connected to both of my holding tanks. And this goes straight up all the way and out the roof. I also, you can't see it from inside obviously, but I put some mesh, some insect mosquito netting mesh stuff on the end of the pipe to make sure no insects can get into the pipe, which is definitely a challenge here in the south. Couple of things, challenges and tips and so forth from the composting toilet. This kind of urine tank, or whatever you want to call it, I had issues with it from dumping it out. And if you're still watching this, I'm assuming you're not too grossed out by this point. Dumping it, there would be some like dried matter kind of stuck to the inside around the tank, and other people had the same kind of issue, so it was just difficult to kind of clean it out between dumping it. And so some people suggested sugar in the raw, like a couple of packets in that into the tank before filling it up. And I tried that, and absolutely no benefit that I could ever see. I tried it for months. What finally helped, now just cleaning it out, if it got to that point, I'd soak it overnight with a whole bunch of bleach in there, and that would take all the hard matter out from the container. But what finally worked for me is approximately 1 cup of vinegar into the tank, and then use it as normal. And that has kept anything from sticking. It's actually almost taken away the odor when dumping it out, almost completely. So just a cup of vinegar in there, and good to go. And even though it is, like I said before, a waterless composting toilet, as others have suggested, I have this little kind of spritz bottle right here. And this is just like 50-50 water vinegar. And so just like 3 or 4 little sprays after using the bathroom, just to kind of keep it clean. And you can see looks pretty good to me. Keeps it from being gross or having any kind of residue. So just 3 or 4 little spritzes of vinegar solution, and then a cup of vinegar in the holding tank here, and that's it, guys. Like it's really not a problem. I've seen videos with people that have this composting toilet, but I've yet to see a Class B RV or van with a composting toilet. So if you have one, I'd love to know about it, and to know about your experiences, and what your thoughts are about it. But I don't see living in an RV or van any other way than this, because it takes away the need for having to deal with sewage and dumping it and whatnot. So last thing, and we'll end with this. Yeah, we'll end with this. I was going to put it back in there, but you've seen it. What about when you have guests that come over and they need to use the bathroom? So, I don't know how you guys are with that kind of stuff, but I'm kind of a 5-year-old in my brain, so I still think all of this stuff is ridiculously hilarious. People call me a 5-year-old all the time, and I don't think it's a compliment, but it's just who I am, sorry. So, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's funny. Watching people's reactions if they have a funny look on their face. If that's not you, then you can either explain it to them and just deal with it, or there's been a couple people, they've actually made a video, not necessarily YouTube or whatever, just they've made a video, or they've had someone else make a video of how to use the bathroom and the toilet in the RV, whether it's composting or whether it's not, and they'll have a guest over that's never used one, and they'll just say, here, watch this video for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and kind of take that out of it. So you can always do that. There's really nothing complicated about using this toilet, except the number one thing is you don't want the liquids and the solids to mix. So if you have this and you explain it to someone that's visiting, they can work that out and sort that out on their own, however they want to do that. But you tell them the liquid has to go into the liquid and the solid goes into the solid. If you put liquid into the solid, everything kind of messes up. Thankfully, I've never had that happen. But I've had many males and females use the bathroom. I use this composting toilet over the year I've had it, number 1 and number 2. Nobody's screamed or freaked out. Explain it, send them on their way, and no problems at all. If you have any questions about it, feel free to leave some comments, and I'll answer them the best I can. This is probably one of the few areas of the van that I feel confident, because I've experienced the wet bath and the shower on a regular basis, the composting toilet, how it works, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be happy to kind of answer any of those questions for you. Even kind of girly girls in the van have used it and been okay. As far as toilet paper, you can put toilet paper into the main bin of the composting toilet, and it will compost with everything. It fills up faster, and you can see later on, you can still see little bits of white toilet paper mixed in. So even though you can do that, I prefer not to, which is why I keep this little trash can here. I was at a hippie hostel place, and they call it the goddess can, so I guess you can call it a goddess can. But for toilet paper or goddess products, it's just better to put that separate and just leave the natural stuff in the toilet. Any bodily fluids, though, it can handle. Anything that comes out can go into the composting toilet, and it's okay. Alright? So, that's pretty much that. I think I've shared everything in the world I know, plus some, on the bathroom in my van and the upgrades, and I'm sure I'll think of something else later. But if you have any questions, let me know. I hope this is helpful. If you have a composting toilet, or if you live in a van or an RV and you use a wet bath and you have some tips to share with people, do it. And thank you very much for watching. I hope this wasn't too crappy. Crappy, like toilet, bye.